just come out from the final 2-day process of the count here in London for the mayoral election and for the elections for the Greater London Authority. It's taken 2 days to get through this counting process between 3 counting halls, Excel, Olympia and Alexandra Palace. We have visited all 3 halls. Piers has been to all 3. And I don't know where to start and stop, I'm afraid, in terms of the scale of fraud, corruption and mismanagement as well of the count. I'm absolutely shocked at what I have seen. You have got all of the counting tables where the computers sit from. Basically what they've got a setup where the ballot boxes come in at the front of the hall, and they're taken out of the ballot box and they're taken to, this is at Olympia, they're taken to the back of the hall to go through scanning machines. And what they do, I've actually asked the staff, is they just load up chunks of the ballot papers and they chuck them into this machine. So I said to them, how do you know how many papers you're putting into the machine? They said, we don't know. The machine sorts it out. And I said, how does the machine do it? And they said, we don't know. So, of course, my immediate question is someone has to set an algorithm or a method on the machine to estimate the numbers of ballot papers. So once they get through that stage, the machine then puts forward all the rejected ballots, the ones that are questionable, to go through to counting staff that then scan it. It goes onto a computer and is scanned, and they have to check it to go to the returning officer. And that is the only papers that we, the counting agents, can oversee is the rejected ballots. We cannot check all the other ballots that have been accepted by the machine. We can't see them. They're nowhere to be seen. Traditional, ballot other counts across the UK today would have had them all on tables where you can see the papers building up so you can see where the votes are and you can ask for them to be checked. Here, we can't do none of that, so we don't know what's going on with the ballot papers, we don't know the validity of them, we've got no way of checking these results. So that's the first problem. The other problem that we've seen across the halls is that the staff are making lots of mistakes. And because they've got these huge perspex screens of about 7, maybe 8 foot high, encasing the whole of the area where they're adjudicating and checking these rejected ballots, we can't get in. So if we see a mistake, we have to smack on the perspex, and it turns quite aggressive because you have to get their attention. You're going, like that. And a lot of them refuse to come out and talk to you about the mistakes that are being made, and there's a high volume of mistakes that are being made. So we've all been facing these problems. We've also seen funny business, which we can't quite work out, where smiley faces have been put into the boxes for Sadiq Khan and Sean Bailey only. Now, we could say, okay, maybe people are doing that as a way of expressing their voting intention if it was across the board, but we've only seen this for Sean Bailey and Sadiq Khan. That's been spotted by our counting agents at Alexandra Palace, Excel and Olympia. Now, a bit of a coincidence, isn't it? This is very strange. And when we've asked them, they just say, oh, there's obviously some smiley face campaign going on between the candidates. Like, what? What the hell? Really? So what, this is another thing that's been very strange. Another incident was yesterday in Alexandra Palace. I was watching from behind the screen one of the mayoral ballot forms that have been rejected coming through, and I was checking them. Every ballot form that came through was a mistake. So I said to the woman on the other side, I said, is it your first day? And she said, yes. I said, you're in at the deep end, and she nodded. And I said, have you had any training? And she went like that. So I was actually, just because I'd been there all morning, I was telling her how to do her job. And she was waiting for my directions at some point as well, because she was making mistakes. So what happened is the staff picked up on the fact that I was picking up on all these errors, and the chief executive came over and she started to get quite annoyed with me. And in the end, she said to me, this is intimidating for my staff and stressful. And the security officers come over and they were going to remove me from Alexandra Palace for questioning this counting officer, member of staff. the security staff that come up, who'd been stood behind me for the whole time and heard that I was just scrutinising, actually agreed with me, and they wouldn't remove me. And at that point, she got quite annoyed. I said, right, how do I make a complaint about you? I said, because you should not be trying to remove me for doing my job here as a counting agent. I have every right to do this. And she said to me, if you want to make a complaint, you make it to me, because I'm the head of the council. I'm the chief executive. And I said, okay, then if I can't make it to you, I'll be taking it to the chief counting officer here, the lady in here tonight, for the GLA, the Greater Returning Officer, and I'll be making a complaint that you have got counting staff that have had no training and don't know what they're doing and are making lots of mistakes. So that's just a taste. I could go on, there's loads of other stuff and I'm really tired. That's just a taste of what we've seen over the last 2 days. It is horrifying. It is not a democracy by any stretch of the imagination. And if people can't see what's going on, we're not allowed to take photos in there to prove what's going on. We can't take away any evidence of what's happening. So, what I say to people is, you're not living in a democracy. This election has been a scam and a sham here over the last 2 days. To be honest, I think elections have always been controlled and manipulated, but I think now it's coming out of the shadows in terms of what they're doing. The fact you've got these machines here in London. Apparently, I didn't even know, they've been using these machines to scan the ballot papers since 2004. I didn't know. That's absolutely shocking. And if we don't stop this tyranny, that's going to be the voting process in every count hall across the country. And then we're shut out, aren't we? That's what's happened to the last 2 days. We've been shut out from the democratic process. We were only allowed 3 counting agents per candidate and 9 for mayoral candidates. The hall was empty. There wasn't hardly anybody there. So, you know, this is your new normal. This is your new political normal. And the next step is getting rid of all these buildings and this process, and it's all going to be online, on Zoom. Because the World Economic Forum, as I know you know, the World Economic Forum are talking about citizens' assemblies where it's all done online. So they will end up getting rid of Parliament, getting rid of places like this, which is why they're downsizing all the time to move us out, because they're getting ready for e-democracy is the word. It's not e-democracy, it's e-tyranny, isn't it? They're getting ready for this whole new system online. So I don't know what more to say really than otherwise. We can't change it from within. We've got to rise up and we've got to rise up and change this. As much as what we've done is about raising awareness and building the movement, they're never going to allow us to elect someone to change this. They're not going to allow it. I felt this for a long time. I mean, obviously we all come into this to support somebody like Piers because he is the real deal. There's not many people like that. I actually said that. I mean, he was the only one that spoke up in there against all the anti-lockdown candidates. They stood there. They stood on their bloody stickers and did what they were told. Piers didn't. He's of the truth. He's got a mind of his own. Which is, I wouldn't be backing this man if he didn't. I would not be backing him. And you know, there's no other candidates that are speaking up like him. So as much as we're never going to change it from inside these buildings, I think we need to be coming into these buildings like I've done tonight and shouting truth at them. And I know it's shouting, but that's the only way they're going to listen to you is if you shout. Because if I said, oh, you know, they wouldn't listen to me, you've got to be loud and you've got to be, you know, out on our campaigning and out leafleting. None of these amazing people working for Piers have really met any support for Sadiq Khan. They haven't. So.
For anyone else, but not Sadiq Khan?
No, exactly. So where are they all? Where are these people? They're living in a computer, that's where they are. They're all on a computer
They're all
record.
numbers.
Just like the fiat money system, we've got a fiat political system that's created on a computer. And the same corporations that control elections in America than they do in Europe.